Well, hello everyone and welcome. It's Patricia from Alchemy Therapies and my emotional audit. And today I wanted to review a book, which is The Road to Character by David Brooks. Now, David is someone I caught online. He's been doing, he's been doing a lot of book tours and he does a lot of presentations. This isn't his latest book, actually. This book is a couple of years old, I think. Oh no, older than that, 2015. It's the same year I wrote my book, funnily enough. My first book, that is. I've got 7 now. And basically what he's talking about here is how one gains meaning in life and creates character. And it's not, surprisingly, through avoiding bad things or just sailing through life and being really positive about everything. It's actually quite surprising to some people, not to me, because I see this every day, is that we learn through challenge and through error and through everyday situations that take away our coping strategy. That's how we learn who we are, and it's how we hone our character, if you like. And your character isn't what you write on your CV, okay? That's largely a fabrication for getting a job, or, it's what you would put down when somebody asked you, are you worthy of this role or whatever? And you would create the story of being, supremely competent in this area and that area. We're talking more about what would people say about you in your eulogy, once you've gone? Would they say you were kind? Would they say you were funny? My mum, that was the thing that was said at her funeral, was how funny she was, because she had a very dry sense of humor, and she would just come out with stuff with no filter and surprise us all. And it was so lovely to hear other people match that description of her, which was very real. And so this is really all about authenticity. And what the road to character does is it takes a certain number of examples of people, mostly Americans, including some ex-presidents and ordinary people as well, and takes you through their life and what they did to face their challenge. And for some, it was witnessing terrible disasters. For others, it was growing up in poverty, and wanting to make a difference that way. Some found God and, a faith. There are so many ways in which we can gain character, but I particularly wanted to quote from the end of the book, and it's a little subheading called stumblers, which I love. Those of us who stumble and fall, which I've done. I'm sure many of you watching this will have done, where you thought life was just going along fine and dandy and you're doing really well, and then something comes along to knock you. One of his other books is about the second mountain, and it's like you fall off your first mountain, which is your achievement oriented. I've made this grade, I've made this lovely house or job or relationship or whatever it is, and you fall down your mountain and you're in your hole or you're in your valley, and that's where most of us end up to create character. Okay. You see, he talks about sin and humiliation are woven through our lives. Now, sin, the way he talks about sin here, he is a religious man. He's Catholic, a later convert, I believe, to Catholicism, was an atheist. His understanding of sin, I'm not sure if it agrees with mine, but I love the idea of sin as being a misfired arrow, if you like. That's where the derivation of the word comes from. It's you are doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Okay, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, because most people are good people with good intentions but do bad things, as I certainly can hold my hand up to. We are all stumblers, and the beauty and meaning of life is in the stumbling. Yes, it is. All right, it's in what you do after you fall. How do you pick yourself up? How do you make meaning of what's happened to you? Do you blame yourself? Do you go into shame and humiliation, which many people do? Or do you blame others and go into vindication? If this hadn't happened, I'm going to be a victim now because you did this to me and I'll never forgive you. really the way forward there is to take responsibility for your part in that, and to be humble and find out what you could learn from that in order to do it differently. Um, uh, so it's basically learning, isn't it, that we are made whole by this struggle. Now, I love that phrase. He does write so beautifully. The stumbler is made whole by the struggle. Wholeness, it turns out, or healing, which is same derivation, as Brené Brown also talks about, is not by avoiding problems. It's by facing your problems and your shame and your humiliations and your vulnerability. And each time you do this, you grow in strength. Okay. And it's not just I won't be knocked down. It's about how you learn to make meaning of what's happened to you in a way that enables you and those around you to refuse to be defined by that, but to learn and do things better next time. We lean on each other as we struggle against sin. All right. So as we struggle, I would replace sin. I would replace it with our own failings or our own vulnerability. That's how I would put it. You know, we need each other. This is the point when you fall that you really need to turn to a community, whether that's family or it's a wider community who can help you to pick yourself up. I certainly needed that when I fell, which I did spectacularly around 32, 34. And, you know, I can remember going to a friend's house, or various people, but one friend in particular who kind of would just sit with me and listen to my woes and how this was wrong and that was wrong and I'd never do this and I can't do that. And she'd just say, you will, it'll be okay. You know, where you are now isn't going to be the way it's always going to be. And then she would distract me by taking me somewhere. And you know, as miserable as I was and as self-hating as I was, after a while, I forgot about my problem and I actually was able to get on and do it. So, yeah, the stumbler commits herself to ideas and faiths, and again, I would replace that word, maybe a spiritual purpose, that are nobler than any individual ever could be, you know? So it's the greater rather than the individual, the greater good that you're working towards. You're asking the question, how may I best serve? You know, I've had this experience, I got chronic fatigue, and what did I do about that? Did I stay stuck? Did I stay stuck and kind of blame everyone else? Well, no, in the end, I decided to train in helping others recover as I had needed and not been able to find, you know. So the victory follows once you have redeemed yourself, once you've made a decision not to blame yourself or others, but to rise above that, not in a sort of egotistical way, but to be humble with what's happened to you, to understand that. So from defeat to recognition and redemption is the journey. You know, first of all, you have to know what you're dealing with and understand what's happened to you and why it happened to you. In my case, overstretching myself, never listening to my emotions, being very disconnected from my body, thinking I knew it all and having the answers for everything. And of course I didn't. And being so self-reliant that actually accepting that I had a problem that I couldn't solve was the big block for me. And reaching out to others was the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. I can honestly say that. Down into the valley of vision and then up into the highlands of attachment. All right. So what we're talking is, first of all, you need to be able to see where you're going. So you need the vision. I don't want to be down here. I want to get to there. But also going forwards into connection, into attachment. Attachment is the psychological term for connection usually between a child and parent, mother. But it also, you know, you have attachment to partners and to our work relationships, and attachment is basically a bond that we have with others. So this is the humble path to the beautiful life. Yes, I agree. It is. It's learning that we need others. And if I've learned one thing in my journey, is the power of community and the power of friendship and the need to belong and to find your tribe. And that may not be in your family and it may not be in the friends you grew up with, if you're very lucky, it will be. Some people have the same friends for life, and because they share similar values, and they just know each other really well. But for some of us, we have to move away to be who we want to be, and then we lose connection with people we grew up around, and so we have to recreate that anew. And sometimes our families are dysfunctional and destructive to us, and so we have to separate ourselves from that as well. So finding your tribe, finding people who do understand you and get you, and you just feel at peace with, is so key. And the final point here is there's a joy in a life filled with interdependence with others, in a life filled with gratitude, reverence, and admiration. I would say gratitude, reverence, and wonder, actually. That sense of wonder for the world that we're in, and the surprising lessons we have that come along when we least expect it, and we certainly don't ask for them, but they turn up anyway. What do we do with that? I think we need more and more to lean on each other and learn that is where our collective strength is. Now, you may not know, but I have another channel where I talk about financial freedom, and that may seem a very distinct understanding from what I'm promoting here, and in some ways it is. But what I found is the people that are interested in financial freedom are also interested in self-sovereignty and health, and all the things that kind of come together for me. And so it's been a real big surprise that looking for alternatives to the current financial setup, because I think it's corrupt and dangerous for individuals to rely on, I have found a group of people too, and it's been such a joy recently. You see, there's a joy in that feeling of acceptance, all right, being accepted, the knowledge that though you don't, that you don't deserve their love. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. I would say everybody deserves love, but you may not believe you do, all right? Others do love you, and clearly, I got a text message in the week which blew me away, from the lady that I interviewed for my crypto channel, and it's just such an open-hearted message and such an extension of love, unexpected actually, because all I do is turn up, okay, and then I talk about things I'm passionate about, and that seems to have been received very, very well and accepted. They have admitted you into their lives. Yes, they have. They've admitted me into their lives, and I'm now part of the team in this particular group. So it's knowing that joy is for you, all right? It's not just for the good people who don't make mistakes. It's for everyone. And it's not produced because others praise you, all right? It's nice to get praise, okay? But it emanates unbidden and unforced. It comes from being in the right place for you, an authentic expression of who you are. Joy comes as a gift when you least expect it. That's certainly been the case this week. And you know why you were put here and what truth you serve. Well, I couldn't agree more. And this fabulous book, I highly recommend, The Road to Character by David Brooks. I also recommend his wonderful talks on his books, where he is so eloquent, and he's very funny as well, which is always nice when someone has a sense of humor. I love his message. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you find joy in your own authentic expression in your life. And if you're struggling with that, I would recommend you look at getting some help. Reach out for help. I had to do that. Everyone I know who's faced this road has had to reach out at some point in their lives, and so there's no shame in that. There's only joy at the other end. So please take care and get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Take care. Bye for now.